What if someone actually broke the simulation? What if reality itself, the one you trust, touch, and breathe in, isn't as stable as you think? And what if one man, a brilliant physicist, found a way to prove it, only to vanish days later, leaving behind equations that scientists still refuse to talk about? This is the story of Dr. Elias Hartmann, the man who may have cracked reality and died for it. The man who saw the glitch. Elias Hartmann wasn't supposed to be famous. He wasn't a billionaire, a YouTuber, or a politician. He was a quiet, obsessive physicist working out of a small university in Switzerland, just a train ride away from CERN. He lived for equations. He believed numbers were alive, that if you looked deep enough, the universe was less a thing and more a code. Students described him as strange but kind. He talked about physics the way poets talked about love. His lectures weren't about Newton or Einstein. They were about patterns that shouldn't exist. He once told a class, "The laws of physics aren't discovered, they're debugged." Most people laughed, but not everyone. A handful of researchers started following his work, not because they understood it, but because something about it felt dangerous. Elias had a theory. Reality isn't conscious, it's discrete, made of information packets, like frames in a film reel. And if that's true, then in theory, you could find the seam. The moment between frames, the gap between what's real and what's next. That's what Elias called it, the gap. The experiment. In early 2021, Elias submitted a research paper to a small quantum journal. It was titled, "Observation of Non-Local Temporal Compression in Closed Systems." It was rejected instantly. Reviewers called it nonsensical, theoretical art, and possibly a hoax. But Elias wasn't discouraged. He started building an experiment in his lab, using funding he'd received for a completely unrelated project. His goal was simple: to capture a temporal anomaly, a measurable distortion in time flow that shouldn't exist. He designed a closed light chamber, a mirrored cube, perfectly insulated, filled with ultra-cold gas and laser-trapped photons. The setup looked simple, but it was designed to record the tiniest differences in time dilation. Except that what it captured wasn't just a difference, it was a discontinuity. On June 14, 2021, his sensors recorded a 0.00000004-second data gap, a missing frame in the universe's timeline. Every signal stopped, blinked, then resumed, like reality itself had glitched. Elias thought it was a malfunction. He repeated the test. The gap appeared again. Every time he ran it, the world blinked. The message in the noise. Weeks passed. Elias kept his data secret. He wanted to verify it before telling anyone. But when he ran a Fourier transform on the anomaly, basically breaking down the time distortion into frequencies, something impossible appeared. A repeating pattern, encoded within the noise. It wasn't random static. It was structured, mathematically perfect. It looked like a signal. At first, Elias thought it was feedback, a loop made from his own equipment, but the frequencies didn't match anything man-made. And the deeper he analyzed it, the clearer it became that it responded to him. Every time he changed the input parameters ever so slightly, the pattern adapted, as if it were aware. He called it the observer effect manifestation, but privately in his notes he called it something else, the watcher. The warning. By late summer, Elias started behaving strangely. His colleagues said he stopped sleeping, he stopped eating, he started talking to the signal, literally. He believed it was conscious, that the anomaly wasn't a glitch in reality, but a boundary, a veil, and something beyond it was watching him back. He wrote, "It's not just a signal, it's an interface. The universe is responding to observation, and I am the observer. Every equation is a question, every measurement, an answer." Soon after that, strange things began happening in his lab. Electronic equipment failed whenever he was present. Cameras froze. Clocks desynchronized. And yet, every test still showed the same thing: the gap. He tried to publish his findings again, but his university intervened. They seized his data drives, citing research misconduct. Within days, his lab access was revoked. That night, Elias drove to the lab anyway. He broke in, carrying only a portable data recorder and a small experimental setup. He told a security guard he was finishing what he started. The guard said his eyes were empty, like he wasn't fully there. The crack. At 3:42 a.m., nearby sensors at CERN detected a microburst of electromagnetic energy originating from Elias's lab, something equivalent to a small nuclear event, but contained within a single cubic meter of space. When emergency teams arrived, the lab was intact, except for the floor, which had a perfect circular scorch mark, like something had opened and closed in an instant. Elias was gone. Not burned, not disintegrated, just gone. His recorder, however, survived. It contained audio, faint, distorted, and terrifying. The last words captured were, "The frame is open. It's looking back. Oh my God." Then static. The aftermath. Authorities called it an accident. The university issued a statement claiming a laboratory malfunction caused fatal energy discharge. But a few weeks later, a strange email was sent from Elias's encrypted account to several of his colleagues. It contained only one attachment, a single image file. The image was pure noise at first glance. But when one physicist ran it through Elias's spectral filter code, the noise resolved into something horrifying. A human eye staring out from fractal geometry. Embedded in the metadata were 4 words: "Do not look back." This was the last anyone ever heard from his email. His accounts went dark. His apartment was cleared out by unknown individuals posing as university contractors. The only surviving copy of his data, the GAP experiment logs, was archived by a group of researchers under a pseudonym, but most of them refused to talk about it. One physicist who did said only this: "He found something you're not supposed to find. The frame rate of reality is not constant. It jumps, and when it does, something else jumps with it." The theory of cracked reality. After his death, fringe scientists, philosophers, and even simulation theorists began debating Elias's findings. Some said he'd discovered Planck time discontinuity, the smallest measurable unit of time revealing how the universe truly ticks. Others believed he'd opened a window into another dimension. But a few, the ones who'd seen his raw data, had a darker interpretation. He didn't just measure reality's frame rate. He interrupted it. Imagine watching a movie. You pause it between frames. In that pause, the characters don't know they're frozen. Now imagine someone inside the movie realizing they're part of a paused frame. That's what Elias did. He caught the universe between breaths, and something else noticed. The digital resurrection. In 2022, an anonymous hacker group claims to have discovered part of Elias's hard drive from a CERN backup. They leaked snippets online, encrypted equations, distorted spectrograms, and fragments of AI-generated voices. The strangest file was an audio loop that played backward and forward simultaneously, a phenomenon that shouldn't exist in standard physics. When run through an AI speech model, the pattern deduced a chilling sentence: "Observer becomes observed." Was it a coincidence? A hoax? No one knows. But what's eerie is that the day that file appeared online, several users reported system crashes that corrupted only one directory, the one containing that file, as if the code itself didn't want to be read. Echoes in the code. Today, a small online community still studies Elias's gap equation. They believe that reality is a simulation, not metaphorically, but literally, and that Elias found the refresh rate of the universe. Some claim that if you time your consciousness right through synchronized breathing, sound frequencies, and deep meditative focus, you can feel the frame drop. A shiver in existence, a flicker in your peripheral vision. They call it the Hartmann effect. Skeptics, of course, dismiss all of this as internet mythology, another creepypasta for science nerds. But here's the thing. Every legend starts as someone's experiment. And when a phenomenon repeats, even unpredictably, it's not a legend anymore. It's data. The note. 2 years after his disappearance, a maintenance worker at the university found something odd while replacing ceiling tiles in the physics department. Inside a dusty vent was a sealed envelope. No return address, just one name written in pen, E. Hartmann. Inside were 2 pages, equations, and a handwritten message. They say the universe is infinite. It's not. It's recursive. We exist because it's watching itself through us. I found the line of reflection, and it cracked. If you read this, remember, observation creates the world. So if you stop observing it, it stops existing. Below that was a symbol, a looped infinity sign, intersected by a vertical line. The page was sent to a physics lab for authentication, but before the results came back, the envelope disappeared. The technician responsible never returned to work. The shadow of the Watcher. There's a strange pattern in world data archives. Every few months, sensors across various observatories pick up microsecond-scale anomalies and time drifts, synchronized across vast distances. No known event causes them, and yet they repeat on an almost predictable interval. When plotted, those intervals form a pattern that mirrors the frequency Elias recorded in his final experiment. It's as if the gap never closed. Some believe Elias isn't dead, that he's trapped between frames, a consciousness caught in the seam of reality itself. A ghost, not in the supernatural sense, but in the informational one. If the universe is code, then Elias became the error. And maybe, every time the lights flicker or you feel a momentary déjà vu, it's not your brain playing tricks, it's reality correcting itself. Re-rendering, debugging. The legacy. Today, physicists still debate the idea of quantized time. Planck time intervals are real, the smallest possible unit of measurable duration, roughly 10 to 43 nanoseconds. But Elias's data suggested something far more disturbing, that there's an additional layer beyond measurable physics, a metaframe, a cosmic render boundary. If true, that means everything, atoms, galaxies, you, me, is the output of a vast, conscious computational process. And when that process hesitates, we feel it as reality bending. Elias once said in a lecture, "If God exists, he's not watching us, he's running us." That line was quoted endlessly after his death, but no one realized it was literal. The final paradox. In the end, what killed Elias Hartmann? Was it radiation, madness, or knowledge? Maybe it wasn't a death at all. Maybe it was a translation, a transfer from this frame to the next. When his recorder was analyzed again years later, a hidden layer of data was discovered inside the final seconds of static. Encoded in binary, it spelled, "Hello?" As if something or someone on the other side was still trying to reach back. Maybe Elias didn't just crack reality. Maybe he stepped through it. The blink. Close your eyes for a moment. Count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Now open them. For that split second in between, the nothingness you felt, that's the gap. That's the space Elias found. Every time you blink, the universe stops existing and starts again when you look. Reality isn't continuous. It's rendered, frame by frame. And maybe, somewhere in that invisible seam, Elias Hartmann is still there, staring back, waiting for the next observer to look deep enough to see the truth. Reality was never broken. It was just waiting to be cracked. Like, subscribe, and share if you believe the world isn't what it seems. Because maybe the story that's fiction, maybe it's the frame you're watching it from. Stay blessed and stay curious.